Just north of the famous Big Sur region of California's coast lies the even more famous Monterey Peninsula. And just a bit inland lies a true jewel of a racetrack. It's Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And today it plays host to the Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix, powered by Mazda, round 3 of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. Absolutely great to have you with us here, and it is an absolutely stunning day. And Cal, it's been a bit of a break for these teams and competitors since the second round at Sebring. But when you're coming here, it's worth the wait.
Well, it is a magic location here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. The track is just over 2.2 miles in length, 11 turns, very smooth, it's low grip. The key to speed here is momentum. Legit overtaking opportunities at turn 1 and turn 11, the Andretti hairpin in the final corner. A real key corner is turn 6. Getting through there cleanly, a run-up rahal straightaway to the infamous corkscrew turn, and then that breathtaking drop up over the hill.
It is a special place, no question about that. Now let's take a look at the weather here. As I said, it's absolutely beautiful. Yesterday, actually, in qualifying, it was pretty chilly. Well, as you can see, the temperature is still a bit low for this time of year, 65. Humidity sitting around 45%. A bit of a breeze here as well. That can have effect on the track with how the sand blows around. But Cal, as we look forward to this third round of the championship, we really need to go back to, I think, the start of the season. Porsche unveiled a new car in Grand Sport, the Club Sport GT4 Cayman. Did they also introduce maybe a new sheriff in town?
Well, quite possibly. We look back at round 2 in Sebring. Trent Hinman, Cameron Castles, a brilliant victory there in the Cayman. Very strong on the long run at the end, and we come to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and it's a Cayman on the pole. Danny Burkett, a brilliant lap, but the margin, an incredible 1.4 seconds over the competition. It could be a long day for the others.
Just a stunning gap, and of course, Brian Till, those cars are not leading in the championship, and the manufacturer that is, well, they're not going to go quietly.
No, Greg, they will not go quietly indeed. Scott Maxwell, Billy Johnson, they lead the championship in their Ford Mustang Shelby 350 RC. And Pierre Kleinuming and Paul Holton, well, they're second in the championship in a very similar car. But here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, it is difficult. That car weighs about 600 pounds more than the Porsche Cayman that qualified on the pole. You've got to accelerate that weight and stop that weight. In fact, that weight, well, it's about 125 pounds more than a NASCAR Sprint Cup car. And this Ford Mustang is on a skinnier tire, and like I said, you got to stop it, you got to make it go. Braking could be a real issue when it comes to passing here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca for those guys.
Wow, great point, Brian. And of course, climbing that hill is going to be crazy as well. Now, Cal, as we take a look at ST, or Street Tuner, you know, here at this track, Mazda not only has the naming rights, but in ST, they own this class.
They have got 5 consecutive victories here, 3 consecutive for driver Andrew Carbonell, and the MX-5 just has great balance. This track is all about momentum, Greg, and the MX-5 ticks that box in a big way. Great gear ratio splits for the whole circuit, but they may have some strong competition here this weekend as the first MX-5 sits third on the grid.
That's a very good point for the second straight race. It's the number 84 Bimmer World Optima battery. That is the F30 Turbo 328i. Sits on the pole, loving this cool weather, I would think, with that turbo. And Justin Bell, we've also already had some drama for the points leader in this class.
Well, you talk about momentum. Well, for the 44, Owen Trinkler and Sarah Gaetano, it came crashing to a halt. You know, they came off Long Beach with a win. They're first in a few years together and the first for their newly formed team. They came here off the truck, electrical gremlins. And then Sarah got in an instant with someone coming over the fast brow, over the fast front straight. They repaired the car. They still have electrical problems, but they got put further back on the grid because they red flagged the qualifying session. And then they flat spotted the tires, so they had to put new Continentals on, so they're starting right from the back. As Owen said, we're getting pretty good at this starting and coming all the way to the front from the back, but we just wish we didn't have to, guys.
Yeah, tough developments for them, but boy, as you said, they are capable of coming up through it. We'll keep an eye tuned to that. So at this point, we're going to show you, as you can see, the top of the screen, the Continental Tire starting grid. Find your favorite car and driver pairing, as we are anticipating going green this time by. And we also want to take a look at some of the onboards that we're going to have for you. This one, the number 15 Multimatic Ford that starts second, qualified by Scott Maxwell. Billy Johnson will take over. Boy, has he been in the news a lot lately. And the second of the cars we have is the number 26 Freedom Autosport Mazda MX-5. Liam Dwyer, qualified at 13th. He'll turn over to the Mazda Raceway Maestro, Andrew Carbonell. And the number 27 Freedom Autosport Mazda MX-5, qualified 10th by Danny Bender. And Britt Casey Jr. will take that car over at the driver change as well. Again, as always, a 2.5-hour race. And we're looking forward to this one getting underway. A little bit of a break between the Grand Sport and the ST or Street Tuner category, Cal. They're coming out of that tight last corner. It is time to go racing. And boy, they're already arguing over it.
Well, Burkett just leaps to the front. The pole sitter doesn't mess around. Hits the gas pedal. He has taken off.
Boy, and down to the inside comes, I think, that's Till Bechtelsheimer having a look at it. Yeah, he's there. He might be able to make this a Cayman 1-2, and a big wiggle by Maxwell. That cost him, Cal.
Yeah, he got in there really, really deep as we see the ST front row come into turn 2 as well. Good clean start, though. Maxwell was real. I think he was ready to get a big launch, and Danny Burkett just took off.
And the 64 at Ted Giovannis looking a little bit racy in the early going, and you also see a big move there. The number 99, Aston Martin, the invisible glass car of Eklund, settling in. Meanwhile, in Street Tuner, well, we've got not the pole sitter in the lead.
Gilsinger takes the Honda to the front, so it's Honda 1-2 in the point standings right now. And he's got a new teammate this weekend. Michael Valiente is still suffering a little bit. He had a big hit on the last lap of the race at Sebring where they finished second. Still feeling the ill effects of that. Decided to take a break from this one. He's got Cameron Lawrence going to be driving with Chad here this weekend.
Oh, and just watch the number 37 of Ethan Lowe in the Mini JCW Works car, who just gave it a big wiggle there, but he had just laid a nice pass on coming out of that crucial turn 6.
Yeah, these Continental tires should just be coming up to their sweet spot right now in terms of pressures and temperatures. Here we see Paul Holton there in the second of the Mustangs, starting to put the pressure on the Cayman.
Yeah, Bechtelsheimer had to give that spot up as an aggressive as always. Scott Maxwell able to get through, and as you said now, Holton trying to make that move as well.
I think he's just taking his time here, showing great patience. I thought he might try and make a move down to the inside into turn 11, that final corner. That is one of those legitimate overtaking spots around this racetrack. This is another one. But the performance we saw from Danny Burkett in qualifying, boy, oh boy, he's shown it in race trim too.
Yeah, it really is just stunning, the pace that they have been able to develop. And I think it's also, again, very impressive when you take a note of the fact that this is his first ever visit here in the One Capital Management, a car that they're running for CJ Wilson Racing. Holt now ever closer to the back of Bechtelsheimer.
Yeah, Bechtelsheimer there looking a little bit squirrely there under the braking for turn 3. I think he's pushing really hard. And I think he's just using the brake pedal a little bit more than he needs to, and that's unsettling the rear end of that Cayman right now in the early going.
I'll tell you, the fact that he was able to sneak around Maxwell has really given Burkett the opportunity to make a bit of an escape, and that's exactly what Maxwell did not want to have happen.
No, I think Scotty Maxwell felt he needed to get the jump at the start, and I think he was laying back to get a run, and Danny caught him unawares there and just took off. Here we see that run out of turn 6, that key corner we talked about, up the Rahal straightaway.
Not able to get it done there. Boy, Bechtelsheimer really shallow on his entry. Might slow him up on the exit, and Holton does tuck right in behind. Tough to make a move here, though, in the rainy curve.
Bechtelsheimer, I think, is really compromising his speed a little bit now by defending, looking in his mirror, looking to see if Paul Holton's going to make a move on him.
By the way, that car, the number 35 of Bechtelsheimer, another, it's the second of the CJ Wilson Racing entries, making a big step that team did up from ST, where they won the championship last year, of course, and now they have moved up, and Bechtelsheimer doing a nice job, is able to gap the number 15 just a little bit.
Guys, you talk about the Mustangs out in front. Remember, braking is going to be an issue with those cars, so trying to shove it down inside into turn 11 is going to be difficult. I talked to Scott Maxwell. He said, I'll be honest, I think we've got about a third-place car here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. If we can take third-place points and go, that's important for our championship.
And that's the words of a veteran in terms of knowing what the car will give you on a particular weekend. If they can get more out of it, they'll take it. But it's all about you go for a win. If you don't have a car that's strong enough for a win, you take the most points you can on the day. That is how you win championships.
And there's a look at your ST leader, Chad Gilsinger. Again, you talked about Cameron Lawrence joining the team. The one advantage Cameron has is he ran with the team at Sebring just in the team car when Kevin Boehm couldn't be there, and he was partnered with Steve Ike. So he's got some experience in this car when he takes over for it. I'm a little bit surprised, though, because I really thought that James Clay in this cool air, that car, that number 84 is a turbo, and they said, you know, that's one of the issues at Sebring. We were quick, but we did deal a little bit with some heat issues. Here, not so much.
No, that's a good point, Greg, but I think he's just pacing himself. I mean, he certainly showed great one-lap pace in qualifying, and they had some dramas after the qualifying run. Here we see a great little battle up here into the corkscrew. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's the number 8, Robin Liddell, starting in the 37 Mini of Ethan Lowe, as we talked about. And Lowe lost a little bit of a run there, and that's cost him because a great run early by Chris Wright in the number 22 Wright Motorsport with Goldcrest portion now has glommed right on to his 6.
Liddell won here last year in the GS class on his way to a championship with Andrew Davis for the Stevenson Motorsport Camaro team. He's pulling double duty here this weekend. He'll also want to run in the WeatherTech Championship for the Stevenson group with their Audi, of course.
You see that big R in the front of that car for Rebel Rock Racing. As we watch the rest of the field, good look there at the number 27. Again, working its way up through the pack, that is Danny Bender. And he has some chops here as well. We'll talk more about that when we come back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. As we talked about at the top of the show, it's a fabulous day here, if a bit breezy, at the Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix, presented and powered by Mazda here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And while we were in break, well, we've had a few things happen, so we want to bring you up to speed. First of all, a quick off here by the number 34 Alara Racing entry. That's Cavan O'Keefe, not real familiar with this team and this track, and just ran a little bit wide there, got away with it. But a big moment here for the Mini, Cal.
Yeah, Derek Jones there got into turn 11 really deep, off into the gravel trap on the outside, got it back on the road, but turned the Mini around. Didn't contact anyone else, so he should be okay.
Just lost a couple of spots, was running 23rd when that happened. However, this moment, more drama for our points leader in ST. A little kiss there from Paul Holton.
Wow, it's been a terrible weekend for Sarah Cattaneo and Owen Trinkler there. Just got mixed up there in traffic. And then Robin Liddell, who won this race last year in GS, problems early for the number 8 machine.
Yeah, ducked into the pits. Reports coming from Justin down there that the engine sounding very much off song, and it has gone behind the wall. But you can see a little something in that right front corner. Some sort of damage.
Oh, they're having to go
that may have been a part of it as well, but the car making its way and was pushed eventually
not gone, but horrible misfires
down into the paddock area. Up front, nothing has changed except the gap. It's unbelievable what Mr. Burkett is doing.
Well, there's a CJ Wilson 1-2, but it's not close. It's over 16 seconds. So Bestelsheimer, and I thought he had pace. He just needed to settle down a little bit, find the rhythm of the race car. Maybe he started the car with slightly different tire pressures to his teammate, but he's now settled down nicely. And Holton's got around Maxwell for the 3rd spot. So our championship leader is now down in the 4th position. And Maxwell said it could be a long day, and it's certainly proven to be that way early going.
Yeah, it is that. We were watching during the break. Holton was coming up at some pace and obviously able to sneak through, but boy, what a run this one capital entry for CJ Wilson Racing is doing right now in the hands of Danny Burkett. And let's not forget, he turns over to Mark Miller, who Danny said prior to going out in qualifying, he said, I was nervous, I was pumped. He said, this is a new track and all that. And he said, Mark just sat me down. He said it was the veteran really giving him some great guidance, and they went out and put one in. And this is Bestelsheimer you were talking about, Cal, just doing a very nice job in that Safecraft CJ Wilson Racing Club Sport.
Yeah, and it's going to be Macquarie's going to take over from him, so he should have a good finishing run here as well. But looking at the fastest lap so far today, Danny Burkett has run a 1:35.5. The next fastest I can see right now on the scoreboard is at 1:36.6 for Maxwell. And Bechtelsheimer has won a 1:37.2. So right now, Burkett has 1 3/4 second advantage over the 2nd place runner right now. You just don't see that in this form of competition. So they have definitely got that Porsche dialed in, and Danny doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the car is working, but what he's doing behind the wheel, I think, is absolutely superb. In the ST category, it's still Chad Gilsinger hanging on here at this point over the pole sitter, James Clay. We get a report now that we have a full course caution, and it is for the number 54 machine. Let's check in with Justin Bell.
Andrew Carbonell standing down here. Obviously, Liam Dwyer is doing an amazing job out there. He's really hanging with the top guys, but this is a track where you do particularly well, isn't it?
It is. You know, unfortunately, we've had a lot of great luck here in the Mazda MX-5 at Mazda Raceway. It's kind of an honor to do so well at your home track, and it really treats us well. Freedom Motorsports has always given us a great car. The Continental Tires seem to treat us well here, and really big thanks to all U.S. service members and veterans who have protected our country for over 200 years.
Yeah, but right behind you, Brett Casey is asking a girl to the prom. Hey, Brett is saying, Alexis, race me to the prom. Now listen, you better not say no, as you'll crush this poor guy.
Right, that would really be a huge buzzkill to this whole thing that happened this weekend. So we have a bunch of Trump people here from the corporate office and our main sponsor, and the big question is, Alexis, would you race me to prom?
Well, listen, seeing as though I'm obviously his pimp this weekend, I would say yes. Guys?
You never know what's going to come out of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge paddock. That's a great story indeed. Not so good a story for this, the number 54 entry, making its debut in the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge from JDC Miller Motorsports, who of course have had a fabulous year in the Prototype Challenge category, and they also field a lot of open wheel equipment. This is the universal coating BMW 228i, first time a 228 has ever run in the Continental Tire Series, and it's a very special one, Cal. Michael Johnson, one of the two drivers, along with Steven Simpson, paralyzed from the waist down, and unfortunately for them, it's been a very problematic weekend, and it continues.
It really has. They've had electrical issues all weekend long. Didn't turn a lap actually until the race, the green flag here today. The car's been over to Dynon Engineering in Morgan Hill, California since Thursday, undergoing diagnostic work. But here you see Michael Johnson there beside the car, very proud young man. And there you see the hand controls, everything done there with the gear shifting and the brake and throttle and everything else. So a unique design. It's built by Burton Racing, and just great to see him out there competing. Great young man.
This was a bit earlier in the race when he made his call down into the pits, and really the problems continue. And you've got to think, with all the hand controls, it's even more electronics in that car, and it just simply right now is not quite where it needs to be in terms of having those electronics sorted at this point. So it's an unfortunate story, and I'll tell you, he's an amazing young man. Had a very promising career building as a flat track motorcycle racer in AMA, and at 12 years old, leading a race, had a crash and broke his back, and said, I'm going to continue to race. And we've got a number of cars making their way down into pit lane, and there comes the number 76. This has to be a strategy play.
Yeah, it really is. As we look at the time on the board, 28 minutes run. You can't do a driver change yet. You got to get to 45 minutes. But certainly in terms of fuel, I think this is the right call, because the cars will go about 55, 58 minutes. So they could be able to sneak through on just one more stop. But our leader of the race right now, Danny Burkett, has stayed out. Brian?
And it may be that the fuel gets done before anything else. We'll have to see. Holton also running over in Europe this year in the Audi TT Cup, so he's got a full schedule right now. He's trying to get this Mustang back on track, and a little problem with the right rear wheel.
Boy, and when you do something like this, the good news for them, I think it was, were they doing some fuel yet at this point? Here comes Maxwell. Now, he would have stayed on board, wouldn't he? Let's check in with Justin.
Yeah, just watching the 99, the Aston, obviously beautiful, lone contender here. Standard pit stop for them. They're just calling the strategy to come in. Tire wear will be an issue. The way they drop off on the unique surface here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. I was speaking with Al Carter. He said, we're very confident on our setup for the long run. So that was a strategy call by them coming in.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. We're going to step away for just a minute here as we are under our first full course caution here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. So as we hop on board for a little bit of a ride, we'll be right back with you. Pace car is in here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Round 3 of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge is about to go back to green at the Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix, powered by Mazda. And Daniel Burkett leads away once again from teammate Till Berkelsheimer in the two CJ Wilson Porsches. And then Cameron Castles, that is the car that won at Sebring, has now made his way up and into that third spot, primarily, Cal, because of the pit stops for Maxwell and Holt.
Yeah, and I just really think that taking a pit stop then was the right call, because these guys do not have poor track position. Look at this. They're running 4th and 5th on the road. They got fresher tires. They're full of fuel, so advantage them. So I think a little bit of a mistake there by CJ Wilson team in not bringing the leaders in.
Well, and as you talked about, there's a nice move here now as Maxwell down underneath Cameron Castles. If he can clear him up into turn 5, I think Cameron still might be right there. Had to open that door up a little bit. And here's that run up into the very tricky turn 6. And Cameron to the inside, that's tough.
Yeah, Maxwell kind of says, don't think about it. Kind of takes the middle of the road there. He's got fresher tires now, so he should just take off. Holton now will put the pressure on as well.
Castle's driving right down the middle of the track, so now Holton's trying to get creative and can't do anything about it into the corkscrew.
Yeah, he's just got to try and set him up here. He should have a lot more pace, and the key is to have enough room as you get through turn 10 to maybe make a move down into the brake zone for the hairpin. You can see there, he's got a lot more grip right now, but if you get too close, it may make it tough. He needs to back off, do the over-under here. No, he just clears him on the outside. That was easy. Forget that.
Amazing what the grip could do for you when you can ramp the outside like that. So he makes the move, and here comes Eklund down the inside as well in the Aston Martin, the invisible glass machine, and he too, somebody off big there, Cal.
Yeah,
So
so
number
that's 64. Giovannis, I think, ran wide there down into the brake zone for turn 11. So yeah, Castles was really just a sitting duck there on the worn tires. He really had to let the others go. That move by Holton, I think that was more not just the power that he had in grip, more Castles just saying, get by me and let me settle back into a rhythm here.
Giovannis also had done a pit stop, and if he can hang in there, he's got a guy named David Murray that'll climb behind the wheel of that Porsche. Could get interesting. Speaking of interesting, what a great battle here, as you would expect in ST at the front. Just how important, maybe, Cal, was that caution for Gilsinger and those front tires?
Yeah, well, it's always a factor. I mean, you got to have great balance. But I mean, the thing about this car is I didn't expect it to shine here at this racetrack, but they qualified second. He's led from the green flag, so the car's got good balance. And that's what it's all about, the tire wear. If you got an imbalance in the car, just going to grind on that end of the car, which is typically the front driving wheels on that Honda. So far today, he's looking strong. Brian?
I just checked in with Tyler Cook, who shares that car, that BMW with James Clay, and he said exactly what you were just saying, Calvin. Right now, we just need to protect those Continental tires right now. James needs to run a pace, stay with that Honda that's in front. We'll see what we can do with it at the end, but you can wear the tires down quickly here if you get too aggressive, slide around too much.
Talking of aggressive there, it's a little bit of argy-bargy there going into turn 4.
The number 36, the Matthew Dickin, ending up in the losing end of that one in his Cayman. That's another one of those cars that is fielded by Goldcrest Motorsports, Strategic Wealth Partners machine.
Oh, battle for the lead in ST.
Well, there's protecting tires.
James Clay looking to the inside. He's feeling the heat from behind. McCumbie's a man on a move. We talked about the MX-5, should be good on the long run. Very well suited to this racetrack with momentum. The GS car, Giovannis on the rebound here, clears these ST cars down the straightaway, no problem. But look at McCumbie. He stays in the thick of this battle for the lead.
Now, those things are just so dynamite on the brakes, partly because of the lightweight, isn't it?
Yeah, they're very lightweight car. They don't have the horsepower of some of the other cars in their category, but certainly for this racetrack, they have everything they need. The gear ratio splits. It's a stock transmission. Some racetracks it will suit, sometimes it will not. But around this racetrack, the MX-5 seems to be perfect. I detect some smoke there on the 84, possibly.
I was just looking at that, too. And one of the things, too, when you think about the MX-5 here, it's at its best when it doesn't have anybody in front of it, obviously, because every time they get into a turn, he's basically going to get held up a little bit. And when they're out front and get free rein, it's amazing. By the way, that little tip we were just talking about that involved Matthew Dickin has been reviewed. No action will be taken at this stage. And they continue to climb, but sitting in fourth, just a little bit back, you're going to see the orange Porsche Cayman, the 56 of Jeff Mosen, just coming up into the braking zone for the corkscrew right now. And interestingly, Cal, the drivers of the Cayman said the mid-engine layout should really be good here at this track because it loves the medium to long duration corners, which this track is loaded with. They said the problem is the engine, while it makes decent power, it's not torquey, and it really hurts it coming out of 5 through 6 and out of 11 especially, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, you need good balance through the corners. You need good gear ratio splits. You need the engine to be right in its peak performance. And maybe the Cayman just is not as suited as some of the others here this weekend. But I think they'll still be a factor over the long run. It's a very well-balanced car, and tire degradation, a lot of these guys trying to do it on just one stop, of course. So you've got to really protect and manage that tire wear over a long green flag run.
And that ST Cayman also does run a tad bit heavier than most of the other cars in that class. But right now, what a run at the front. The number 33 of Burkett doing what he did at the start of the race, just loping off into the distance, Justin.
You know, and we were just speculating on why they stayed out during that yellow flag, very short yellow flag just a minute ago, and that was because, as they said, as Miller said, he said, that's what we love about IMSA racing. If we'd come in, they would have stayed out. And I think he's very correct. I mean, the strategy here, everyone's rolling the dice. The dice are more on their side of the table right now. They know they have the pace, but the way it's playing out now, if there was another yellow that fell within their window, they'll look even more golden than they do right now. And the other thing is, of course, is that the starting drivers for the other cars are going to have to stay in longer than their guys. So, you know, there is a calculated, I wouldn't even call it a risk, would you, Cal?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a risk when you got pace, JB, but I think certainly the correct call would have been to come in, just like the Mustangs did, and be full of fuel and not that far back down the road. So they should be in slightly better shape. If it stayed green, I think everyone's still going to need 2 stops. I mean, we believe that the GS cars will go 50 to 53 minutes on fuels. They will not do it to the end if we stay green.
And you just saw another quick spin by the 64 of Ted Giovannis. He's earning his stripes today here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Great crowd on hand, enjoying some beautiful weather here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca for the Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix, powered by Mazda. And they're enjoying a good one. Up front, Daniel Burkett doing what he's done all race so far, is kind of ease off to the distance almost at will. But Cal, not so much in ST. Great battle unfolding.
Well, look at this. This is for the lead right now. Gilsinger and McCumbee. McCumbee gets the run around the outside, and I think he's got some kind of shifting issue on that Mazda right now. I heard him misshifted within the lead trio just a couple of laps ago when we were in break, and it allows James Clay, who'd been past for second position, back up into that second spot. So over the course of 5 minutes or so, there's a real shift of all top 3.
Boy, now that looks like it maybe lit the fire a little bit with James, because he's now getting real aggressive on the 93 of Gilsinger, down into turn 10. Flattens out down here, Cal. Hugely important corner here, turn 11.
Well, you talked about tire management, and I think that Honda has maybe used its tires a little bit more, because Gilsinger's certainly wringing its neck and getting everything out of it, but now and again he seems to be scrambling for grip. The BMW looks really strong, and as you said, on an open track, I think the MX-5 has a lot of speed as well, sitting in the 3rd spot.
It's a great mix of manufacturers here that have simply different strengths. But boy, Gilsinger, he knows he's protecting big time. And look at this move by McCumbee. Wow. Down underneath for second, Cal.
But it's going to be the inside for James Clay as they head down in towards turn 3. This is great action here. Good clean running. The ebb and flow, as you said, different characteristics of these 3 different marks.
Through turn 4 here. And oftentimes how they talk about this is 2 different tracks. You've got from basically 10 all the way around to 5. It's flat. And it's a very much platform stuff, and then up the hill, the whole dynamic of this place changes from here on.
Yeah, it really does, and I think that's what's remarkable about Danny Burkett, who's leading this race and learning the racetrack so quickly. Whenever you have a racetrack with elevation change, I always found from the driver's seat, a lot harder to learn the circuit.
Oh,
look at the run he gets.
Again, too.
Yeah, there's a little bit of smoke underneath that BMW we saw about 10-15 minutes ago.
Boy, McCumbee got a run, but it looked like the back end rotated a little bit on him as well, Cal. At turn 6, I know I talk about it a lot, but it is such a tricky corner. It's so angular compared to everything else, and it drops right at the apex. I mean, you need to have that absolutely spot on.
You need it spot on. You need to roll good mid-corner speed, as we call it. You don't want to use too much brake. Let the car flow through there, but the car's be working for you with good balance, and I think the MX-5 certainly has that right now. I think McCumbee, if he was by himself, could be a little bit faster in terms of lap times than these 2 leaders right now.
And what does that weird compression right at the apex of 6 do? I mean, it just falls away for a second.
Well, it does, but then it grips you on the exit, so sometimes you think you're heading off the racetrack, and then suddenly you pick up a little bit of grip on the way out, which can be your friend, but it is a very tricky corner, and it is a key corner. We talk about the corkscrew, which is very difficult in itself in terms of making a pass. Getting a run through 6 up the Rahal straightaway is key. Look at McCumbee now. He's going to look for a different way by. Clay certainly had that one covered early.
Boy, he did. McCumbee thought about, well, I got to try and do something, countered it over, and unfortunately it dropped the rights just a little bit.
Taking the pressure off Gilsinger a little bit as these 2 battle a little bit more intensely.
That's one of the great things about this is it is just fierce racing. Is it the absolute fastest class on the planet? No. But when you're running 11/10ths in a race like this, doesn't really matter too much. It's just crazy. Here we go up into that turn 6 again.
Yeah, watch the 25 car. He's quicker through here. He needs to give him back half a car length gap and then try and flow through the middle of the corner with more speed and get a run.
Wasn't quite close enough at that point. Wasn't able to do anything with it. And up into the corkscrew again. 93, Gilsinger hanging on to the lead.
Well, Greg, and he's hanging on to those Continental tires as well. I just checked in with the team. They said he's trying to control the pace right now. I'll stack him up in the corners a little bit, try to let that Honda run down the straightaway, but they do have to conserve. You talked about it before, the same thing with the BMW. The Honda, the BMW, they need to save those tires, and the Mazda right behind them, well, they can let it run.
McCumbee there, down to the inside. You could see that one coming. Clay tried to cover it, but if he got in there too acute, he was going to get into the leader, so good heads-up driving by James Clay as McCumbee starting to put the heat on.
He gave him some room, a little bit too much room as he went off at 11. McCumbee still going to try and stuff it down the inside into the Andretti hairpin. And Clay just enough to clear him, but now he can't get it woe down, Cal.
Yeah, he's going to clear him this time. He gets it tucked in there nicely. He's been in this position before. This time he gets the job done. Now he's going to work on our leader.
Could some of that have been Clay's tires being dirtied up just a little bit with that runoff of 11?
Quite possibly. We're seeing a driver change here start to happen. We're past the 45-minute mark that you have to hit to get driver points here today.
That's Danny Bender turning over to Britt Casey Jr. And Britt has been very fast at this place in the past, and so is Danny. It's his first time racing in this series in the Mazda MX-5 at Mazda Raceway, but he won a national championship in an MX-5 2 years ago here at the runoffs. Justin?
Well, you can see there on the rear left tire there, it's actually, I have to say, the team are struggling a little bit. Whoever's doing the rear tires seems to be a little slower than normal. You can see someone else going in to help. Of course, Brett right now with Mind on Racing, but I hope we got a text from that apparently rather beautiful girl that she's going on prom with him, but maybe not sharing the right seat in this racing Mazda right now. The kid has been quick, so let's hope he can keep the pace up.
Yeah, he certainly has been fast. Meanwhile, look at Quick as Maxwell now, Cal, resurgent a little bit. That's for second.
It is. Meanwhile, Danny Burkett is 11 seconds down the road in the lead of this motor race as Maxwell again has to defend. That came in and really gets good acceleration between those two corners, between 5 and 6.
He sort of drifted a little bit there to the middle, didn't he?
Well, you're allowed to pick your line so long as you don't react as being proactive in terms of determining your line off a corner, even if it is ultimately being a little bit on the defense.
Now the question is can the next car into your frame right there, that beautiful multicolored number 6 of Holton from Compass 360 with the Children's Tumor Foundation support on that car and Aero Advanced Paint Technology, do they have anything to try and get around Beckelsheimer?
And again, with these Mustangs, they're a lot heavier. Brian talked about it at the front end of the show. They could wear these tires down, but they've got fresher rubber, remember, than the Caymans that they're around and sandwiched between right now.
That's why I think you were spot on, Cal, with what you were talking about with strategy. Yeah, the fuel window, but also they burn the tires off, fresher tires with that caution. And right now, Scott Maxwell's doing the job, closing in, sort of, on Burkett up front. Welcome back. Pit stops happening in both classes. There's the number 33. That is Daniel Burkett into the pits, turning over to his co-driver, the ever-quick Mark Miller. Now behind the wheel of the C.J. Wilson number 33 Porsche Cayman GT4. Pit stop complete. That promotes this guy, Scott Maxwell. Remember, they already did a stop right about the half-hour mark and moves that car into the lead. And they've got about 3.5 seconds in hand right now over the number 76 of Holton. Here's the number 35. That is the team car, has made its stop as well. And Tyler McQuarrie now behind the wheel of that Team C.J. Wilson Racing entry, Cal.
Well, a lot of these teams are going to wait until around the hour mark, run the car out of fuel. They can then do their driver change. There's really a split strategy right now between the Mustangs and the Aston Martin that lead the field, 1, 2, 3, and the Porsches and everyone else in this field.
And as we're watching these stops, while we were in break, big move here. Great one by Chad McCumbee, new leader, Cal.
Yeah, you can see there, Gilsinger, we've been watching the car sort of like starting to give up a little bit on the tires, working those fronts really hard, and it's a long drag race down this front straightaway, but McCumbee eventually makes the position stick, and he's really driven away from these two guys right behind him.
James Clay was looking to maybe slide through as well. And at that point, Gilsinger didn't let it happen, but Clay now has moved through as well. So it is McCumbee, Clay, Gilsinger, 1, 2, 3 in Street Tuner with Jeff Mosing. A few more seconds back in the number 56 Murillo Racing. Cayman. And rounding out your top 5, it's Steve Ike in the Team Honda America Race Team Hart entry, the number 92. Meanwhile, Maxwell up front leading now, the margin 4 seconds back to Holton. Then the 99 of Rob Eklund. And I'll tell you, Cal, that Invisible Glass Aston Martin right now is playing this game pretty well, I think.
Yeah, they've done a really nice job here today, certainly showing some pace. But right now, I think the championship leaders are really calling the right strategy in terms of what the cars they had to play with. We see the second of the Mustangs, the Compass 360. Paul Holton doing a mega job here. He's going to turn it over to Pierre Kleinubing, who's won championships along the way over the years, many in Pirelli World Challenge, and obviously here in the Conti Series as well in the ST class.
It's going to be interesting now. We've seen what that number 33 in the hands of Burkett can do from the lead, namely check out. Now we get to see what Miller can do in chase mode. And at this stage, he will have the fresher tires. However, he'll have a bit more fuel at this stage. It'll be interesting to see. And now the number 12 of Trent, as Trent Hinman now behind the wheel of the Sebring winning number 12 entry from Body Motion Racing. So the game is truly afoot at this point. We were talking about just the impressive run that Automatic Racing Invisible Glass Aston Martin has been putting in. And Justin Bell, I think Al Carter's looking forward to get behind the wheel of that beast.
Al, obviously we talked earlier, you and I, about you've got to play the strategy game, but it looks like it's unfolding the way you want it to right now.
Yeah, you know, Porsche and the Caymans, they've just done a great job coming this series, so it's tough chasing them around. So, you know, we kind of did a little bit of strategy. We're trying to like save a little tire, save a little gas, and hopefully, you know, here at Laguna, we'll get a little chance to hang with them at the end. But they've done great, and but the Aston Martin that we're running is doing well. Real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to everybody in Delaware, plus our friends at Rum Bum. We kind of miss them, and I appreciate all the plums and Joe Vardy did for me. So we'll miss them. Want to give the Rum Bum a shout out.
Thanks, well said, and I'm sure those boys are watching, guys.
There's no doubt. You know that they're glued to the TVs right now.
Yeah, we're certainly missing them in a big way. Two-time GS champs. I spoke with Matt Plum yesterday, and he said, we've really just suspended the operations for the time being. We haven't closed the shop. We're evaluating our options moving forward, discussing with our current partners, looking for new ones to come on board. It's a great team. 66 starts, 21 wins, and we certainly missed them on the grid here today.
And a very long in the tooth Porsche 911 that they still in the hands of Joe Vardy, able to make go pretty quick. And interesting to see what route they're going to take, but we definitely want them back as we're watching that Automatic Racing. Aston Martin just playing it to perfection right now, sitting in the 3rd spot with Mark Miller in the pole sitting number 33 and 4th, and Trent Hinman in the 5th spot. And now let's go back and find out what might be unfolding in ST. And it is still McCumbee. And he's been able to balloon that margin up, Cal, to the tune of about 5 seconds. So we talked about it. That car loves to be free on the track and not have anybody hindering it anywhere. Boy, is it quick.
It really is quick, and this is a driver pairing that won the championship last year, have made the move from CJ Wilson over to Freedom, and finished 3rd here last year, so they haven't had a win here, but certainly showing a lot of pace here today. McCumbee doing an excellent job in terms of being patient in the early going, letting the field come back to him a little bit. And we talk about this racetrack being well suited to this MX-5. It's all about balance, Greg. It's about momentum, and certainly over this long green flag run that you expect in ST, but the fact they actually split this 2-hour, 30-minute race distance and try and do it on one stop, that really puts the emphasis on really managing those Continental tires.
And McCumbee, of course, folks, if you're not real familiar, comes from the world originally of stock car racing and has evolved into a superb road racer. And Stephen McClear is just wicked quick, former MX-5 Cup champ, and all the man does is excel, particularly behind the wheel of Mazda. So talk about going from strength to strength on that driver change. Yeah,
it's really, really good. There's no weak spot right there. And what a record they have. 5 consecutive victories for the MX-5. And I know John Doonan and everyone at Mazda Motorsports would be really excited if they could get a win here today, and they're looking great in the WeatherTech Championship here this weekend as well, have led every session so far.
There's the leader. You could just see, as I mentioned behind them, is the number 84 of James Clay. Watch for him to come into the frame right there. That is your car that sits second. The number 84 Bimmer World entry, still showing some pretty impressive pace at this stage. And a bit earlier, we saw the issues for the number 54 entry from JDC Miller Motorsports with the paralyzed driver Michael Johnson behind the wheel, just not able to deal with some of the electrical issues in the car. But Brian, I think you've got an update.
Yeah, I do have an update, Greg. And Michael, this is not where you want to be sitting right now. I know you still want to be behind the wheel of that BMW. Just electrical problems all weekend long. Has that dampened your enthusiasm for this?
Not at all. I'm glad to be here. It's been my debut, and I'm glad to be out here. I just can't wait for the Glen. We get all the problems figured out.
And, you know, people who followed your racing career are used to seeing you in an open-wheel car. The sports car racing thing is completely different when it's going to come to driver changes and all that. You guys have it mapped out how that's going to work?
So I'm going to drive first, then Steven Simpson will finish the race for at least the start of it till we get it figured out.
Ever raced a car with a roof over its head until today when you did your lap?
This is my first time.
And we'll see you back at the Glen. Good to see you here, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, great opportunity for them. Obviously, it didn't quite work out this weekend, but going to be great to see. And, I mean, JDC Miller, they've got a great run of momentum going right now, and look forward to them getting that car sorted. And, of course, Steven Simpson, his co-driver, when they get that car running at the Glen. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. We've got the number 99 of Rob Eklund as he continues to run in a fighting third spot. However, we've got developments in the ST category, some of it unfolding on track right now, and some of it beginning to unfold in pit lane.
We're just past the halfway mark in this race, so if you get to this point, we had a little bit of help with yellow, you should make it to the finish on this stop. JB?
Yeah, that was the stop we've been waiting for down here in the pit stop. Chad McCubby coming in, Stephen McAleer getting in. It was a very clean, tidy stop. Of course, they had the benefit of a nice open pit lane, Calvin, but that was what they needed. They've been running so fast. I'll try and grab a word with Chad as soon as he gets his helmet off.
Thanks very much. Yeah, clean track, clean pit. Things are just sort of falling their way right now. And Stephen McClure ready to go out and get back into the battle. And really the number 84 now moves back into the lead. We already saw the 83 of Gelsinger make his stop. Cal, turn over to Cameron Lawrence.
Yeah, and Cameron Lawrence is really a star in this paddock right now. Bright young American hopeful, and done a lot of great things in the Tour of the Championship last year. He won the NAEC in terms of the endurance races for the GTD class, and he's a great fit in here in terms of filling in for Michael Valiente this weekend. He'd love to get a victory. As you said, he knows the team, having run with them at Sebring.
And the Magic Man is doing exactly that again. Andrew Carbonell, the number 26, Freedom Autosport Mazda, after the driver change, and they pitted a little while back, he had dropped into the 24th spot. Now he is absolutely leapfrogged up. He is fourth, and the 84 finally, Brian, is in.
Yeah, I expected to see this car in a lot earlier than this. Tyler Cook taking over from James Clay, and there's damage down the right side of this number 84 BMW. This car running so well. Second pole position in a row. Tyler Cook did it at Sebring. James Clay did it here. The question is, can they get it back out of the pits and out in front? Can they take a victory here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca? Driver change continuing. Continental Tires going on, and they'll head back out. Justin?
Chad, you just jumped out of the 25 Mazda. You have been laying, I mean, it's been hard. Hard overtaking, hard every lap, going in deep. It must have been a very exciting drive for you.
Yeah, it really was. You know, we tried to conserve as much as we could, but we had to see where we were at and just go as hard as we could right there the last little bit of the stint. And our Freedom Autosport guys have got our mod space Mazda really tuned in. We struggled a little bit. We unloaded this weekend, and man, we've worked hard every single session, and that thing was really balanced just then. So that's why we enjoy coming to Mazda Raceway, because that's what suits our MX-5.
Tell us, what's the track like at this point? It's warmer now than it has been the last couple of days. How's the track conditions? How are the tires working over the course of a stint?
Fun. It's a condition that works the best for us, for sure. And I think that's where we've made the gain today. These harder temperatures, I woke up and I was like, keep getting hotter, keep getting hotter. That's what we need. So Continental Tires are doing a great job holding up on our MX-5. And I think we'll, hopefully we can get that mod space car up front the rest of the afternoon.
Cool. Guys?
Well, I'll tell you what, they pulled it off. We think, Cal, it looks like McClear was able to stay in the lead, but look who's second.
Yeah, Carbonell has really been a man on a move. He made that earlier stop. Liam Dwyer did an excellent opening stint. These guys going for their consecutive win here, and Carbonell going for 4 straight. Mazda's 6.
And the 81 of Kaufman yet to pit, still sits in the 3rd spot. Lawrence has the Hart Honda up into 4th with Tyler Cook now in 5th. Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Time for a look at our Continental Tire race recap. And early in the race, the number 34 Alara Mazda MX-5 of Kevin O'Keefe making his first start in the series, having a little bit of an issue, Cal, in turn 11. Then a big moment for Derek Jones.
Yeah, got in there really deep to the brake zone for turn 11, ran out wide and then turned the car around. Fortunately, everyone missed him.
Then for Sarah Cattaneo, points leader along with Owen Trinkler. Just a tap right there by Paul Holden. Big moment. They've had a problematic weekend after grabbing the points lead at Sebring, and it continues, still struggling with some electronic issues. More problems as well for the number 8. Look at the damage to the right front of that car. Problems, Cal.
Yeah, Rob Nadal, he's the GS winning driver here last year, along with Andrew Davis, now running an ST and championship contender. Their day was over.
Yeah. Rough sounding engine was the report. Then a great battle for the lead in ST, and then a moment for McCumbee in that number 25.
Yeah, I think he may have got excited. He had the lead momentarily and looked like he may have fluffed a shift a little bit there, but he wasn't to be denied. He's a man on a move.
Yeah, spectacular move, and it continued. He was able to hang on once again under attack, down to the inside. This time made it stick. And the Bimmer World BMW tried to make a move on Gilsinger. Then recently, the number 15, Scott Maxwell, brings the Multimatic car in, turns it over to Billy Johnson. He will be taking it to the finish, and they were looking very strong at that point. The number 76 then took the lead. That's the Compass 360 Shelby Mustang, and it was Paul Holton and then Cal. A big moment on the release.
Yeah, that was really key because they looked like they may have been able to do it without a need for splash. But meanwhile, our overall leader is in. Mark Miller behind the wheel. They're just running this race. They're now in their fuel window. 53 minutes to go. They should be good to go. Looking at fresh rubber, will they do all 4?
And I'll tell you, he was under severe pressure from Trent Hinman in the number 12. Justin.
Yeah, the 33 just came, the 35 just came in right behind our overall leader 33. Obviously looking, I got trapped a little bit along the wall, so I can't be right next to the car, but the 33 looks like it's having a standard stop right now. Front left tire going on now, of course. At this stage, as you say, Calvin, I mean, they got to play it absolutely perfect because of the strategy they pulled. The 35's having some radio issues. I think they were having to use an old-fashioned pit board to get his attention, but the 33 should be heading back out any second.
Yeah, it looks like a slight delay on the rear tire change, Justin, on the lead car, so that could really play into Billy Johnson's hands in terms of him making hay. And that Mustang, the 15 car, is going to need fuel. Hinman, however, assumes the lead, going for 2 in a row.
That was quite a delay on that right rear, too, wasn't it? The fueling was done well before that release, so
would really hurt them.
Absolutely. And by the way, going back to that 76 on the release, they dropped Kleinubing off the jacks. He just drove away, and the fuel probe was still attached to the car. The fueler took a little tumble, and Cal, they got a penalty for that.
They did, and the drive down pit lane here is going to cost you about 30 seconds. That really takes them out of play. Now the new leader comes in, Hinman. Question's going to be, where is Johnson?
And this was an absolute had to react, right?
He really did. You have to sort of like, if there's going to be a caution here, pit lane would be closed. We're still 50 minutes on the board. It would be a full caution period, and that would really hurt you. So you need to, oh, look at this. Looked like he got the car in reverse there momentarily, trying to find neutral. BT.
Trent Hinman behind the wheel of the 12. It's going to be right side Continental Tires only. No, they are going to go to the left and do all 4, fill it with fuel. They'll get back out. This one's going to be a good one to the end. We're going to have to see how the strategy plays out.
Meanwhile, Billy Johnson drives the 15 Multimatic Mustang to the lead, but he's going to be a little bit shy on fuel. He's going to need some more fuel in this Mustang if we don't see a caution here before the end. So he's got to really push hard now, dig deep, try and get enough of a cushion over Hinman and company so he can maybe drive down pit lane, take a splash, and get his second checker of the year.
You think that reaction by the number 12 body motion team of Hinman Brian, it certainly sounded like thought they were just going to do rights when they maybe saw the 33 do all four. Was that reactionary as well?
Well, I think some of it, you're timing it to your fuel stop. They basically needed a full fuel load, so you're going to be sitting there just waiting on fuel anyway. Why not do all four when you're only doing half a fuel load? Then it makes sense to just take two.
But with that delay, because that was a great stop by the number 12 body motion crew, so with that delay for Mark Miller in the 33 CJ Wilson racing car, that should put them comfortably in front of Miller at this point. Brian?
Well, to add on the 76 story that you were talking about, Greg, yeah, the fueler Ivan Shikata was still attached when Pierre Kleinubing pulled away, but here's the problem. They didn't get a full fuel load. He never saw the bubbles come through the vent line, and the biggest problem is they don't know what they have, and they don't know how far they can go. Talking to Carl Thompson, who owns that Compass 360 team, he said, we'll run to a stumble, I guess, but if it stumbles going into one, there's no way we'll make it back. If it stumbles at the corkscrew, we will get back to pit lane, but right now, it is one big unknown for the 76.
Wow, that is a difficult way to go racing, especially when you were in the hunt with a competitive run, for them to have to deal with that. Now, they did that penalty, but as you said, whoa, that Mini really grabbing some curb. Here's a look at it, and it was just when the car dropped, a little miscommunication, and Kleinubing drove away. Billy Johnson now at the helm of the number 15 Multimatic Shelby Mustang 350 RC, and Cal doing exactly what he needs to do right now, stretching that margin just a little bit over the pursuing field, particularly Trent Hinman.
Yeah, because Kleinubing sits 28 seconds behind, and we think he may be in fuel trouble as well. We know Johnson, if it stays green, will need a splash. Hinman is really the guy he's got to focus on, who's 41 seconds back, and I think that may be enough of a gap for these guys to roll down pit lane, take a splash, and keep the lead, but it's going to be awfully tight, JB.
Well, Scott, we're just obviously predicting how the end of this race is going to go. Calvin's worked out you do have enough of a gap. If it was perfect, if he can hold this gap right now. So Larry is obviously having to do his magic up in the pit box, but the car doesn't have the ultimate pace right now.
We don't have the pace, but we're good on fuel, we think. So as long as it stays green, we have a chance. If it goes yellow, we're a sitting duck to the Porsches. We just don't have the pace, you're right. But they're catching us, but Billy is he's pretty astute and he's fast, and I'm just trying to get him to calm down and save his tires, which he'll do. And hopefully it stays green.
Full course yellow, as you said it.
There you go.
Guys.
Well, I'm surprised that he said we're good on fuel, because that was going to be a monster stint. I think he was going to need to do a stint of about 65 minutes, so that surprises me. So the yellow will save him fuel if he was in trouble, but he's saying in a shootout, we may struggle against the Porsches.
Yeah, and the reason for the caution right there, the number 7 Rebel Rock car of Tyler Stone. It looks, Cal, like he may have clipped that tire bundle at the apex of the left-hander of the corkscrew and veered him right off track.
Yeah, not sure if there was other traffic involved to get him down there or whether it was just a mistake. But this certainly shakes things up. It's going to be game on in both classes. You got a very fast Andrew Carbonell. Has he got anything for Stephen McAleer for the lead in ST? Got Cameron Lawrence right behind him, very fast BMW, the pole sitting car sitting in 4th. Eric Foss, our 2014 champion, in 5th. Be game on in ST. And then for the Mustangs, certainly for Carl Thompson, as Brian documented, they were worried about getting a full fuel load to get Kleinubing to the finish. This should help them a little bit. And then some really quick Porsches right behind them.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what that 76 needed to have any hope, probably. But boy, Hinman, Miller, McQuarrie, who it can wheel it. And Carter, I don't know if he necessarily has quite the pace. And Murray, unfortunately, did go a lap down, or Ted Giovannis did, so that's going to keep him out from the mix. Let's check back in with Brian Till.
You know, Greg, the fuel, there's always strategy getting played, and you want to get in and out as quickly as you can. We know about the problems on the 76. Just checked in on Trent Hinman's body motion Porsche. They don't know if they got a full fuel load, so they're a little bit concerned as to whether they can now. Obviously,
yeah, I'm just holding. Look.
Well, that surprises me, certainly in terms of the timing of it. They should have been just inside their window. So again, when you come in, when you're just inside your window, you've got to get it topped up. But again, if they're a little shy, this yellow will be helping them. Huge fuel save when you're under caution. You're only going to use about 1/3 of the amount of fuel that you need under full green conditions. So If you're that close, you'll be rolling down the hill, switching the engine off, trying to do everything you can to save fuel here.
And there's the wave around, letting the ST cars go. It's kind of a sketchy area to have that happen right through that incident scene. But we're getting reports that the number 15 team, Cal, might be setting up. Are they thinking fuel and tires?
Well, we'll have to wait and
know,
see.
yeah.
I mean, Scotty Maxwell said we
That's a
should be good on
surprise.
fuel. I thought they were going to need a splash.
Yeah, me too.
If they're not getting enough fuel save here to get them to the finish, then they're going to have to take fuel right now.
The guy that this might help huge, the number 33 of Miller, remember that big delay on the right rear tire. This is going to allow them to make that chunk of time up, and he's in.
Yeah, so like we thought, he was going to need a splash of fuel, and they're thinking that this caution will not give them enough fuel save. JB, fresh rubber, he's going to have to go for it.
Fresh rubber, he's got to go for it, hasn't he? They've got to make this number 15 Mustang with Billy behind the wheel as formidable as it can be. There can be no compromise out there if they're going to take it to that Porsche, and that's still going to be a struggle for them. So right sides only at the moment. It looks like they are obviously, oh no, he's going for the rear left. Sorry, that is what's happening. Full set of new rubber here, new Continental tires going on, because he's got to have the right bullets in the gun if he's going to have any chance out there.
Yeah,
So
I think
Calvin,
you might
let's
as well.
hope it's, you know, Billy, he's a lot of racing.
Yeah, he's going to dig deep here, and I think you might as well take 4, because you're going to lose the track position anyway. There's really no disadvantage to do 4 versus 2 at this stage of the game. You're going to be at the back of the line, wait for the cleanup. Problem's going to be if he gets a wave around or if he's got to dive through some ST traffic.
Boy, and you could see the reaction on Scott Maxwell's face when Justin told him the caution had just come out. You could see the deflation, but Justin had talked about Larry Holt on top of the box. They reacted as best they can, and it'll all be decided when we come back. For people who've never been here, this part of the country reveals itself absolute beauty and a special place to be. Some fabulous hotels right on the water, the historic docks. It is a special place, Monterey is, and we are under a full course caution here at the Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix, powered by Mazda, round 3 of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, and a great drive by the starting driver. JB has put that number 26 Mazda in the hunt.
He really has, and as he said, he'll give us old boys a run for his money anyway. That was nice, actually, and then he asked me how old I was. Liam, what a great opening stint. That was cracking.
I really got to thank Andrew Carbonell for that. He's been my coach along with Tom Long behind me here. These guys have really helped me get up to speed and really develop this racecraft. This Mazda MX-5 with Freedom Autosports is just hooked up here at Mazda Raceway. So I might look really good, but it's actually the car that's doing most of the work. I think we're about to go back to green here. We got Andrew up front with Steven up just in front of him. Freedom Autosport 1-2 again. We'll see.
Yeah, well, great. Well, there's a lot of action on track, a lot of racing to go.
Plenty of
Brian?
racing yet to go, and we've seen that 84 BMW run so strong the last couple of races. James, right now, what's Tyler got underneath him?
You know, we got a good car out there. The challenge with that car is it's heavy, and we've got to pull it up the hill here. And you know, over a long run, it's a little tough. So you know, he's going to have to take care of the car. It looks like he's running the right lap times. It looks like he's protecting the car. We needed this caution big time, so we'll see what we got.
See what they've got. It's going to be a shootout to the end. It's going to be great, guys.
Oh, can't wait for it. And I'll tell you, for Sergeant Liam Dwyer, after he got so horribly wounded in Iraq, the Marine who took him to safety, and a number of other Marines who we served with are here watching today. How special might that be? We'll be back. Welcome back. About to go green. 32 minutes left on the clock here in the third round of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. Pace car is in, and it's Pierre Kleinubing leading him to the green, but right on his 6 is Trent Hinman, the Sebring winner in the body motion Porsche. Right with him, Mark Miller in the pole-sitting car. Cal, the game's afoot.
It is, and look at the back of the pack, that white Mustang. Billy Johnson has 4 fresh Continental tires. He is going to have some speed here.
That's exactly what he need. There was the play, wasn't it? Grip. We need every ounce of grip we can get, and as fresh as possible to take us through this last half hour of the race. The big question is fuel for the number 76.
It is. That's still very much a question mark because they just do not know how much fuel they got on board. It's really just a guesstimate right now with the caution laps as well. That really kind of makes it difficult to do the math on it anyway.
Here
So
comes
he's just
Johnson.
going to roll the dice here. Hinman really pushing hard. Miller right there. McQuarrie's there. Johnson has now cleared the Aston Martin of Al Carter. He's up to the 5th position.
Next in his sights, the number 35 of Macquarie right there. That's your lead quartet. And now Johnson back a bit, but there he makes the appearance up into the corkscrew. And do keep in mind, folks, that 7th car in the queue here, the number 64 of David Murray, down a lap at this stage. But still, we expect David to be pretty quick, Cal.
Yeah, he's going to be fast, but I mean, I think for Billy Johnson right now, his biggest help may be the fact of the other Mustang Kleinubing. If he can keep those Porsches stacked up behind him, Johnson should have more speed. He can get on the tail end of this pack. His teammate Scott Maxwell said those Porsches just too quick. Well, maybe fresher tires will give the edge back to the Multimatic machine.
Boy, in an ST, are we queuing up for a, oh, look at this move now. Yes, see Kleinubing dropping quickly.
Oh, yeah, Hinman's got through. Miller goes through as well. Porsches go to the front, 1, 2, 3. Mustang back and 4th and 5th. Here comes Johnson.
Right, ooh, and a little tap from Kleinubing under the back of Macquarie.
Yeah, Kleinubing looks like he's running out of rubber right now, so fuel is an issue. Tires are also an issue for him at this stage of the game. Hinman has got to the front. Billy Johnson has to clear Pierre Kleinubing as quickly as he can.
Watch for it here, exiting turn 4, up into 5. It's got to be a decisive move. Cal, can he do it into 5?
He'll look.
He's trying it.
Tucked to the inside. Oh, Pierre doesn't want to give it to him. He is fighting hard. These are precious moments in this race for Billy Johnson.
And these aren't absolutely team cars, but they're kind of team cars.
They are. They kind of work together. They're on the opposite end of town over in Toronto. But right now, they're fighting for every point. They're 1-2 in the championship. Pierre's not going to just give it to him.
And Pierre defending mightily right now. And Brian Till, I'm guessing Carl's a bit nervous.
Yeah, Carl Thompson, who owns Compass 360, that beautiful Children's Tumor Foundation Mustang, talking about it being a factory-supported program. Pierre certainly not letting the 15 go. What do you do about fuel, though, Carl? You don't know what you've got in the tank. Are you rolling the dice?
I think at this point you have to. You know, it's great to be in GS this year, but obviously we're seeing that we're still working on BOP a little bit at some of the different tracks. I think the Caymans have it in hand pretty nicely today. So we're going to roll the dice and see where we go. We had a little yellow there, so we maybe could fuel conserve just a tiny bit. The goal for us is to beat the 15, right? You always want to beat your teammate. And so we'll see if PK can keep ahead of Billy. We got a little inter-team rivalry. They got new tires, we don't. And yeah, we're rolling the dice on gas. It's the only thing we can do.
Rolling the dice, and they're going to see if they can stay in front of that other Mustang. Well, actually, they're going to see if they can make it to the checker flag.
Well, exactly. The Mustang, the other one is through, and only Pierre Kleinubing's immaculate car control saved him from a tap from Al Carter.
Yeah, Al Carter stuck it down the inside, down into turn 2. Nearly turned him around, but Pierre, as you said, was totally on top of the car. Nice control there, but he's got nothing for Billy Johnson right now. This is the big question. Do those fresh tires give Billy Johnson the edge to get to the front? Here's a replay here. Billy Johnson clearing Pierre Kleinubing. Al Carter stoves down the inside there. And look at that. Beautiful car control. Didn't really lose an inch to Billy Johnson. That was perfect.
It wasn't quite turn 1 at Road America years ago. I knew you were thinking it too, but it was a great save, no question, as we're on board now with Billy Johnson, and he has got to find something here. And he's got, what, Cal, 27 minutes to do it. Yeah, he's got to dig deep, but Hinman's got some pace right now. He just laid down a lap, a 135.8, which is very close to that fast lap of the race. Set on lap 4 by Danny Burkett of a 135.5. So the Cayman, as we said, had long run pace at Sebring. Hinman in the similar position at the front of the field. And Hinman was simply spectacular at Sebring, and if he drives like that here, one, you know, they're in good position. Two, you know, we had talked about that little blip in his career when he didn't get renewed by BMW. I think he's proving to everybody that may have been an error. Now, getting back to what I was going to say a little bit earlier before things got real interesting at the front, are we seeing a deja vu all over again moment here? And because remember, Carbonell, 2015 last lap pass of a team car for the win. It's shaping up again. It really is. I mean, he knows his way to victory lane. He's done it 4 out of the last 5 years, and he's gone for 4 straight here.
What a record he has here, and how suited is this MX-5 to this racetrack.
Nice
McAleer
move.
is struggling. McAleer is really fighting the lead
is.
car right now. It looks like Carbonell may have a bit more grip at this stage of the game.
And Andrew just went right around the outside of that Mini. Perfect outside move into turn 3.
On board now. Just listen to the gear race as he floats through this corner. It's right in the rev band. It's just perfect. And this is why this car is so quick around here. Here's your key corner, Greg. You love this one, turn 6.
Such compression right there.
McAleer settles back down again. Keeps the gap there at about 2 car lengths as they head up to the corkscrew. What a piece of terrain this is.
Yeah, a whole house you fall off just in that first part, and then it continues to sort of tumble downhill here. Something like a 10-story fall, basically, down to the bottom of the corkscrew.
180 feet of elevation at this racetrack.
Yep.
And you can see these two boys using every inch of it.
Well, and this is where these cars now, like we said, unhindered by anything else that might slow them in their approach in mid-corner speed, these guys can just go after it in the flow that they're putting together right now. I mean, Cameron Lawrence is an awfully good driver, and he's got nothing right now in that number 93 Hart.
He doesn't. He's almost a second slower than that lead too, so he's going to struggle to get back on their pace and close that gap. This is a great battle here for the second position between Mark Miller and McQuarrie.
Boy, and he just laid down a 135.9. McQuarrie did. That's one of the best laps of the race for that car.
35s is tough. And look at this. It looks like Billy Johnson and Scott Maxwell predicted just doesn't have anything for these Caymans here. Fresh tires. His last lap was in the 37s.
So it is down to 3 Porsches right now. Hinman has that bit of a margin, about a 2nd and 4/10, but then Miller and McQuarrie, they are covered by the proverbial blanket, as are our ST leaders. Don't go anywhere. You ride on board with the defending ST race winner here at the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge 3rd round at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. The Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix. That is Andrew Carbonell. And Cal, he's lost a little bit of ground suddenly to Stephen McAleer, who's found something, I guess. But up front, it is still Trent Hinman leading, but Miller and McQuarrie are continuing to skate and put in some pursuit right now. Here's our Continental Tire race recap. Currently, Trent Hinman leading in Grand Sport and Street Tuner, and Stephen McAleer. 2 cautions for 7 laps thus far. Lead changes 8, and that's overall lead changes, and only 2 cars out.
Yeah, it's been an amazing race, and Hinman looks quite comfortable at the front. He's not really stretching that gap over Miller, and McQuarrie is running in 3rd, but it's kind of stabilized. But that battle for ST has certainly stretched out. Carbonell had a really poor lap the lap before this one, a 144.2 compared to the leaders, 141.5. So that is the reason for the gap. I think some of them may have been traffic or a little mistake there on the same lap, but either way, the pressure is now off Stephen McAleer.
Yeah, we saw him, he was working to get around the number 81. That's the team BMW. Kyle Tilley behind the wheel of that car right now, and he just struggled to get around him, but I don't know if he lost 3 full seconds in that. So maybe there's something else that we just missed.
Yeah, for sure. Great run here, though, for CJ Wilson Racing. Cars running 2nd and 3rd. Very quick cars here. They've done a beautiful job in really jumping up to the GS class and with immediate speed. Just a class organization.
Yeah, pole. I mean, you know, the car clearly working, but Trent Hinman doing not exactly what he did at Sebring, as he just hasn't been able to shake these guys, but he led it at Sebring and was able to bring it home for the win. He's trying to go for 2 in a row.
He won here back in 2014 with John Edwards as his teammate for 4-line with their BMW. So he loves this racetrack, and you talked about the fact he was part of that BMW junior program last year, and he really felt that he was going to be signed up for this year, and at the 11th hour, there's a decision made that there wasn't a position for him, and he was basically, for about a month or two, that didn't have a ride. He's picked up a couple of rides at this stage of the year, and he is hungry. And when you get a young man like that with the amount of talent and championships already on his back, and you have that moment where you think, boy, oh boy, where's my career going? You're going to grab every opportunity you can with both hands, and he's doing a great job up front.
He's done that throughout. It was a number of years ago at Lime Rock, became the youngest ever GS pole sitter in the series, and has continued to just show pace. And that 2014 win here was one of them that led him to a championship.
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple of wins on the year. John Edwards didn't share the championship with him because he was a little shy on drive time in one of the races, so it was basically Trent who took the championship by himself. And here we're seeing the 93 car under a little bit of pressure here. BT, what are you hearing?
Hey guys, I just checked in with the 93 team in ST, and Cameron Lawrence behind the wheel right now. Chad Gilsinger was in that car earlier. And remember, this is a very different animal than what Cameron Lawrence is used to driving, a multi-time Trans Am champion having to adapt to this front-wheel drive car. Now, he's driven it before, but in this low grip situation, Chad said by himself, he's fine, but it's easy to overdrive and drive the front tires off of it in traffic. Well, guess what? Since Cameron Lawrence has taken over that 93, he's been in traffic, and it's just a difficult and very steep learning curve for him here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. He's never been to this track either.
Yeah, it's very unique when you're not used to a front-wheel drive car in terms of how you get the best out of the car and then obviously managing the tires. And I tell you what, Chad Gilsinger did an excellent job. He still has the fastest lap of the race in that car, so he's done a brilliant job in that opening stint. Qualified the car second and just showed great poise at the front of the field for a long time until the tire wear got the better of him.
And there you can see right up front, you see that white car disappearing up the hill right behind that orange car. That is a good battle right now for the final podium spot. As you take a look at Stephen McAleer, as he finds himself with that margin continues to just stretch a little bit, Cal.
Yeah, 3.5 seconds, and the defending ST champions from 2015 looking for their first victory with this new team that they're running for this year. And what a run again for Mazda.
Well, and let's not forget, when Carbonell took over in that car, it had fallen to 24th, so he had to work that car and tires, I'm thinking, pretty hard to fight his way up into contention here.
He did. He really had to fight through traffic, and just the fact that he was in the car a lot earlier, so there's a lot more miles on that set of tires compared. And this is a great battle here for third in ST. That's not going away. Eric Foss has driven his way up into a podium spot, but Tyler Cook is coming back at him in that BMW.
Yeah, tacked him down into turn 11. See what happens down here. And that's one of the things that Tyler talked about on this car. He said, we really feel that our brake package in this F30 is one of the best in the paddock. They run the performance friction products. He said, you know, we've been associated with that company for so long. They've really got it dialed into the BMWs. And boy, it showed down into 11.
Yeah, Derek Dong and the whole group there at PFC Performance Friction Brakes do a tremendous job. Just great service in the paddock. They really work hard with their teams to get the ultimate brake package for them. And look at the 84. He's really putting the pressure on. Foss runs wide there. Kind of a little bit of a defensive move. He's going to try and set up and get it turned in. He does. And he should carry more speed through turn 5 as they head up the hill.
Now, this is where that thing I was talking about earlier with the torque of the Porsche engine, you know that turbo makes torque when it hits it up on the pipe, and let's see what he's able to do here up into turn 7, the corkscrew.
Yeah, I think Foss has enough of a gap, and he has enough experience. He shouldn't leave the door open here.
Coming up on exactly 15 minutes left.
I think when you're on the podium in a non-Mazda, you think it's a win.
Pretty much. So this is that battle we're watching. Still the 3 Porsches in Grand Sport. Although it looks like that margin between Hinman and Miller is still 1.8, and then McQuarrie quite close.
Really close between the 2 CJ Wilson machines.
Oh boy, here we go. Hinman now in traffic.
Oh, he's got to be careful. He's losing time here, but then the 2nd and 3rd place runners are going to probably have the same issue. McQuarrie's going to look for a way by here. It's a different dynamic, Greg, when it's a teammate. He'd be a lot more aggressive if this was a driver from another team right in front of him.
The problem is Trinkler wants by the number 73, so it's not exactly going to be a wide open door. Nice move by Miller, though.
Oh, and he almost stumbles coming off the corner. He didn't come off the corner with good momentum. McQuarrie had nowhere to go, though. He had to accelerate at the same pace, otherwise he's going to run over the top of him. Looks to the outside. Can he get alongside and get that rim shot and get into position as they exit turn 2? Not quite close enough.
Well, it looked like the front end gave up just a little bit in that attempt, Cal.
Fascinating battle.
Isn't it?
When you're on worn rubber This racetrack, it's really a game of chess. You're planning your next move.
And all of that did, in fact, allow Hinman to open that margin up now to over 2 seconds. There he is, and here's this battle. Johnson right now is 10 seconds or more back at this stage. So unless something happens, Cal, it's down to these 3 Porsches.
Yeah, and that's on fresh rubber as well. So that really shows how the balance of performance is between these 2 marks right now. The Cayman on this racetrack, definitely a better beast this weekend.
Up the hill they go, the number 22.
I think
Right
Macquarie
race,
may be
yeah.
a little bit quicker than Miller if he could clear him. Not sure if he's got enough. Oh, Miller's wide. Miller is very wide. He is feeling the heat. Digging deep and asking the car for a little bit more than it wants to give right now.
Oh, missed the apex there, too.
Yeah, he's struggling for grip.
They hop back on board with Carbonell. And once again, after having nothing but a windshield full of the back of the number 25 car, you can barely see it up the road. There he is, Andrew, hoping against hope for an opportunity, but McLear has made good the escape. As we now are coming up on 12 minutes remaining, we're going to step away for just a minute, and we will be right back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Welcome back to round 3 of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, the Monterey Grand Prix, presented by Continental Tire and powered by Mazda. You ride on board right now with the number 15 of Billy Johnson, currently running in the 4th spot. But right now, Cal simply does not have an answer for the pace of those 3 Cayman Club Sports up front.
And we're talking about one of the best GT drivers in the business. He's a man on a mission right now. He's got that Ford GT contract, ran at Silverstone a few weeks ago, finished in the 5th position. And then, of course, he runs at Spa next week in preparation for Le Mans. So for Billy Johnson, it's a big year for him, but he's going to struggle to get on the podiums. We're now on board with Andrew Carbonell, running in the 2nd spot in ST.
Yeah, Andrew, you can see working up through 5 now here, up into that very tricky turn 6, and he's off, Cal.
Yeah, he's pushing hard. He's over 5 seconds behind Andrew Carbonell, and Eric Foss isn't that far behind, so he can't afford to make too many mistakes. And there's a battle. Foss is not far behind. Neither is Tyler Cook, because he's now up to the 3rd spot.
Well, they have traded it again. They've been going back and forth in this battle for the final podium position. Oh, is that a little tap?
Just see there, the Cayman wants to carry a little bit more rolling speed through the top of the corkscrew. The real ebb and flow when you're watching these different manufacturers battle out around this racetrack.
Carbonell hard on it down into turn 11. As he's exiting 11, here's that battle.
Wow, and that is stretched out. Sure, if Foss had a little mistake through the rainy curve. But he's definitely lost a few car lengths here on the 3rd position right now, held by Tyler Cook. Can he do anything about catching Andrew Carbonell?
Up and over the rise. I think that was a classic example right there, Cal, of what we were talking about with the torque of that BMW turbo engine, and they have worked so hard on that. I mean, it's really its 2nd full season of competition. It debuted near the end of 2014. They worked on it hard all the way through 2015, and it has come
Foss
good
is just
this year,
hanging on.
isn't
He is hanging on. He's sliding that thing everywhere. It's probably fun, but not effective in terms of your lap time. And with this battle, Carbonell has actually stretched the gap over this pairing to 9 seconds, so his 2nd position may be safe here with just under 7 minutes to run.
And I thought I saw in the background Trent Hinman maybe coming up and working his way through these guys in fairly short order. There he is.
What a beautiful racetrack, so much fun to drive. Real flow and rhythm to this place. You can't overdrive it, as I say that.
Eric does.
Eric does.
Well, and I wonder, Cal, I mean, we're late. Look at that, as Tyler letting the tail wag a little bit. We're late in a 2.5-hour race. You can see cars have been off. This track is notorious for the gravel if you run through the edge coming up on the track, wind blowing it around.
Yep.
Drivers say it can change corner to corner, let alone lap to lap.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes constantly. You need good balance because ultimately when the sand blows across, it's just going to change the overall grip of the race car. But Yes, it is a tricky place. It will make you scratch your head in terms of setup. You go out in the morning, it's going to do one thing, the afternoon another, and then you just got to make your best guess in terms of the setup for a 2.5-hour race.
So a car like, I don't know, a Mazda MX-5 that's very friendly works well here.
It is. You just need a big operating window. We talked about it a lot here today in terms of the car is very well suited. It's a momentum track. Once you drop out of the corkscrew, it's downhill, so the massive torque of some of the other cars doesn't have such an advantage. And the gear ratios, you're running these stock gearboxes. Sometimes it will suit a particular corner. You're either too low or too high at some places you go in terms of what ratio you want to run through a particular corner. You can't select specific gear ratios within the transmission to suit a racetrack like a true race car.
Got it right that time.
Yeah, it's fun. You're just clipping those rumble strips and kind of feel your way through. You just want to trim the inside with them, not hit them too hard so it unsettles the car. A bit deep there. It's a funny corner. It just really takes away. You're not going to maintain all 4 contact patches through that corner at the same time when it dips over the road.
And Hinman has just been able to open that margin, not by much. He's able to open it up by, half a tenth here and there. It's up to 2.25 seconds right now. And I think that he may have just given an opportunity there to Eric Foss once again. But
yeah, Hinman's done a great job. He really got going after that restart, Greg. He laid down his fastest lap of the race, dropped into the 135s, got that 2-3-second margin, and that gives you the comfort factor when you're hitting traffic. You don't have to panic. You don't have to make any rash moves. Gives you enough time to be patient, make the right smart decision, not force the issue.
Just a tick over 4 minutes to go when he came by start-finish, so 3 laps maybe left in this one. And there's your battle, really, the one to watch, is that white and black Optima Batteries BMW in the hands of Tyler Cook, and right behind him, Eric Foss in the Bosing Motor Cars Murillo Porsche.
He hasn't given up. He's arms and elbows around this racetrack, but he's just hanging in there. Say maybe, just maybe there'll be an opening. Maybe there'll be some traffic. I can still get this Porsche onto the podium. Every position counts. He's won the championship before, and he realizes every day you've just got to execute and get the most you can. If it's not a race win, think about second, think about third. Maximum points that's available to you and the car on the day.
He stayed right with Cook out of 5 and up the hill here into 6. Now the run up into the braking zone for the corkscrew. Change of direction right there. Boy, he closes up on the brakes big time. Right there is where we saw Cook get really loose a couple laps ago. That time pretty well stuck.
Foss started the year with that victory at Daytona, had problems at Sebring, mechanical issues early in the race, dropped them to a 21st place finish. So they're a little bit on the rebound right now, sitting in the 6th position in the points coming into this weekend.
Yeah, I remember them making a fix at Sebring, and they said, we've never done this before. And they did it right there in pit lane. Cost them a lot of laps. But as you said, points.
You have to keep digging as deep as this field is. Every second on pit lane is crucial. It's a long, long season, and you may walk away from a weekend thinking, well, that didn't really count for much, but then when you add the points up at the end of the year, those are the moments that can win you a championship.
And we're getting a report from race control anticipating the white flag for Trent Hinman next time by. In that very fleet body motion racing Porsche Cayman GT4, they call it the Club Sport. Here's the pole sitting car. And Mark Miller has finally been able to put a bit of a gap between himself and Tyler McQuarrie of maybe a 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, I thought, sort of like earlier in this stint that McQuarrie's car was a little bit quicker, and that if he had cleared Miller, he may have had something for Trent Hinman. But right now, I'm not sure McQuarrie have used the tires up a little bit harder than Miller. Miller's car looks strong right now. He may be the toughest one of these 3, but he doesn't have the track position for the win at the moment.
Yeah, his last lap of 36.9 compared to 37s. And a high 37 for Hinman. Of course, that might be management at this stage.
Absolutely. Trent, even though he's a young man, got a very wise head on his shoulders. So he's looking for his 2nd consecutive win in the championship year and 2nd win here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, one back in 2014.
Here he comes, white flag. should be flying. Just in front of him is your ST leader, McLear. And there goes Carbonell picking up his white flag. So Hinman on his final lap, Cal.
2.25 miles to go.
Boy,
Miller is right there. There is traffic up ahead. Hinman should have enough margin here to deal with the traffic, but you just never know. If there's a stack up and they don't see you, you can suddenly lose a second or more, and that's exactly the lead that he has right now. Crossing the stripe, it was 1.5, down from 1.9. He looks to the inside. He clears him. That was critical. Did he lose momentum? Where is Miller? Here he comes.
That was the 52 mini of James Vance.
May have cost him a tenth or two, but no more. If that many had gone to the apex, that could have been really tricky for our leader.
Now, however, he's going to catch McLear right at turn 6.
Oh, he dives it to the inside.
Oh, McLear drops the rights. He doesn't want to give it up. He knows Carbonell's fairly close, and here comes Miller.
He has a run. Hinman decided he had to go before the corner, otherwise he's going to lose too much ground and maybe not get the climb up the hill. Miller is in the picture, searching for a victory.
And not far back of McLear now is Carbonell because of that loss of momentum. The 4 cars we're covering, your leaders in the 2 classes. Hinman down into turn 10 for the last time, and Miller is close.
Miller is close. Can Hinman hang on? He just needs a good clean brake zone here into turn 11.
Looks like he gets it, but Miller gets a tremendous run into the turn, but a little bit too much, floats wide on the exit, and it's a Porsche Club Sport 1-2 here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in the Grand Sports category, and very close at the end. McLear winning over Carbonell, but that was down to about a car length. Incredibly close stuff in both of the classes.
That was amazing stuff. What a race.
Fantastic. And Hinman, second straight win. After winning it at Sebring, able to bring it home again, but the pole car a close second. And there's your winner in ST, Stephen McLear. We'll be right back. The Continental Tire Monterey Grand Prix powered by Mazda. Round 3 of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge is done, and there is Trent Hinman climbing out for the second event in a row in winner's circle, having won overall and in Grand Sport. Pretty amazing story, and Hinman just seems to have a great relationship with that car, Mr. Till.
Oh, I'd say he has a great relationship with that car. Now, it's a shame you guys missed Daytona, but you're batting 1,000 after that. I'm sure that you were thinking maybe the championship was out of reach. What are you thinking now? Because that was spectacular.
Man, you know, Sebring was a shock in itself, but to take home the win here, it was difficult. I was hanging on to this thing. I mean, the tires were hanging in there, but I mean, I was pushing this car for all it had. So huge thank you to Body Motion guys for giving me a great race car, one that I can hang on to. Huge thank you to Cameron for doing his job beautifully in the first stint. I mean, this is much more believable than Sebring. It's our second race together. We had a little bit more preparation this time. I'm glad we got it done.
Congratulations. Justin?
Well, you can see a lot of excitement here at Mazda. John Doonan congratulating Chad McCumbee. Chad, obviously, while Stefan's just getting his helmet off, great run for him, and the car was exactly where you wanted it.
It really was. You know, these Freedom guys, they've worked our butts off to get our mod space car as good as it was today. We didn't unload where we wanted, but we wanted to come out here and do what we've done for 6 years in a row with Freedom Autosport and what they stand for. So,
Chad, just say how great it was, Stefan.
It was absolutely fantastic. We get 2 Freedom cars up front too. Thank you to ModSpace, Monticello Motor Club. I've had a great time. Thank you, guys.
Brian, what do you got?
Mark Miller has climbed out of his Porsche, and Mark, spectacular. That closing lap, the traffic up at the corkscrew, you're looking down the hill. Did you think you had a shot?
I did a little bit, just a little bit. But I mean, you know, as great of a finish as it was a little disappointing. I hate to say that, but it's disappointing. We really wanted to win today. Danny put it on pole for the One Capital Motor Oil Matters car, and you know, the Porsche was great. And we just lost a little bit of time in the pits, and that allowed Trent to get by us. We saw an opportunity late with traffic, and you know, all I was doing was not try to overdrive it, because as soon as you overdrive it once in the braking zone, it just kills you. And then I saw him coming back to me, and I'm like, oh, please. And then I saw the white come out right as he went under it, and I'm like, I think I needed one more after that. But still happy with a second. Congratulations to Trent, and you know, it feels good to be on the podium again.
Second place keeps them hungry, Justin.
Another podium, Andrew Carbonell, great run.
The streak continues. You know, Freedom Motorsport Mazda MX-5 was great. Liam had a great stint out there. The Continental Tire treated us well the whole way through. I mean, couldn't speak enough about this whole event.
Mazda's at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, guys. Perfect.
Yeah, unbelievable story. Sixth straight class win here and 7th total out of 10 attempts. Like we said at the top of the show, they own the ST class here. Take a look at our race results and Trent Hinman getting that win.